Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. Really exciting day today. We are in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma with Doug Prey. The Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory. You guys want to talk about absolutely amazing stuff. This is the place where there is absolutely amazing stuff. There's no other way to put it. Doug, thanks for taking some time with us, showing us around, being willing to talk to us. I'm just amazed about what I've seen here. I mean, I love cars, but this is all stuff that's, you just don't see it.
Yeah, well, this place, I mean, it's a piece of history that is really kind of a hidden gem. I think people outside the state know more about this place than people even right here in our own hometown. But we've been here, this is our 61st year here. The Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company was actually established in 1938. Auburn Automobile Company was established in 1900. The oldest automobile company in America, 120 years old now.
Continuous.
Right. And we took it over in 1960. So we've been here 61 years. So half of that time has been in this building. But the three companies got caught up in the Depression, and all three took out bankruptcy, Auburn, Cord, and Duesenberg. You know, Auburn was the parent company. And a gentleman named Dallas Winslow bought the bankrupt companies and kept the service work and the parts business alive until 1960, when my dad decided that he thought he might kind of want to buy a factory. And so in 1960, when I was 7 years old and he was, I think, 33 years old, he goes out and buys an automobile manufacturing company and has no money to do it with. And so with a borrowed $20 bill, as he likes to say, I bought a factory and built this whole place.
Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time, I guess, huh?
I guess. I mean, living it as a kid was just, I knew something special was going on around us. We weren't like the other families in the neighborhood. I mean, Dad was dragging in cars and buying and selling and wheeling and dealing and trying to raise the money to pay for a factory. So that's, here we are, 61 years later, still in the same building, same office, right here where Dad's at, 61 years ago, and keeping the legacy alive.
Which is so cool, because these cars are absolutely amazing. They're works of art. They are, it's Art Deco period stuff. There's never been anything like them other than the stuff you guys have continued to produce.
Well, the Auburn Cord and Duesenberg, all three cars were magnificently designed cars, and all of them had been designed by the famous Gordon Burig. Very, very, probably one of the most famous automobile designers in America. And he was friends with Dad. They stayed at our house when I was a kid. In fact, I remember I had to sleep on the couch because Gordon Burig was sleeping in my bed. I don't think too many people can say that.
He took precedence over even you.
But of course, Duesenbergs are known as the #1 collectible car in the world. They only built 400 of them, Duesenberg J's. And all Duesenbergs were delivered to bodybuilders. Duesenberg never put a body on their Duesenberg J models. You buy a long wheelbase or short wheelbase, and you can buy with a supercharger, without a supercharger. But fenders, grill, hood, all came from Duesenberg, and then bodybuilders such as LeBaron would build your custom body, and sometimes it'd be just one, and sometimes there might be 5 of them. Only 400 of them in existence. And the term, which people don't know, and I thought it was interesting the other day, because I named my dog Doozy. And so they said, how do you spell that? And I said, D-U-E-S-E-Y. And they said, Doozy should be D-O-O-Z. And I said, no, it's a doozy. That's where the term it came from. It's a real doozy. It's a real Duesenberg. My dog is a real doozy. So her name is Doozy. My daughter's name is Auburn. I named her after the car, but I didn't name my son after the car. His name's Adam, but probably should have been Cord.
Obviously, it runs pretty deep in the family then.
Well, it's in the blood. I grew up here. I mean, this has been my backyard since I was a little kid. And then when my dad Glenn died 10 years ago, the family, my brother and sister, voted me in as only the 3rd president of the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company. And we wanted to see if we could keep the legacy alive and see what we could do with the business. And he had such a foundation. There's been a couple books written about him, and there was a documentary done about him, and it's you know, it's a pretty neat legacy to as a kid and for our siblings to try to keep all that alive, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of it.
Well, what I've seen is amazing. I mean, the cars, the parts, your restoration facility. I mean, you turn out some of the top-notch cars in the country. You know, Concours level cars. You know, some of the best in the country. These examples that you're restoring.
Well, we are a restoration business right now. Now, Dad in this business wasn't in the restoration business from 1964 until he passed away. He said he'd never restore another car again, because it was the judging, like I say, when you do go to a show such as Auburn, Indiana, which is the largest Auburn Cord Duesenberg show in the world. They judge your cars, they tell you what's good, what's right, what's wrong. And he says for him, it was, he didn't like other people critiquing his restorations. And if you, let's say, are restoring a dash panel on a cord, and the clocks are they're a wind-up clock, but they're electronically wound up. They're very finicky, like a Swiss watch. So he said he was rebuilding a clock for one of his customers, and he said it took him 2 solid days sitting at his bench to get the clock right. Well, how do you build a customer for 16 hours work on your clock when this is a cord? There's 15,000 parts in this cord, and you got to handle every one of them.
Yeah.
And so the price can get really crazy these days trying to restore a car. And so what he did, he said that what I want to do is bring cord back alive. He called it a timeless design. And he said, I'm going to make a modern day version of the 1936-37 front wheel drive cord, of which he had, of course, several. And that had never done before. So he teamed up with Gordon Burig, and in 1966, he came out with the first second generation car that had ever been created. Nowadays, you see all these kit cars and street rods and customs, and people can build a car. But in those days, this did not exist. To say, I'm going to build a modern car from scratch, start a manufacturing company, and bring it back to life had never been done. And he did it in 1966.
Well, that's cool. We'll, in fact, I think we'll get into that on the next video. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up, because obviously we got a whole nother story here about the manufacturing process and bringing that name back. Yeah. So let's we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. So stay tuned for the next one as we get into the story of the reincarnation. Is that a good way to put it? Yeah,
and what a point I want to make, though, that people want to call the cars that were manufactured here nowadays a reproduction. And that was one thing that he did not like. He hated that world. He said, we're second generation cars, but the same company made them in 1936, made them again in 1966. So they're now known as the Glen Prey cars. And
so that's what they're branded as, is the Glen Prey cords.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the story about the Glen Prey cars.
So sounds great. Well, stay tuned. Obviously, tons of more interesting stuff coming. There's one place in the world to get this stuff, and it's right here from Doug at Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So lots more cool stuff coming up. Stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more cool videos of the stories, the cars, the parts, all the awesome things going on around here. So be sure to stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled for the new videos. If you're on Facebook, please share this video with your friends. Invite them to come over and like the page. Be sure to check out the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory. And if you're on YouTube, please check out my other videos. It's all old car stuff. Tons more cool stuff coming from here. And subscribe to my channel to keep up with what's coming out. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you soon on the next video.